So for today's video, I'm going to be doing something very different to my usual videos, and I'm going to be doing a revision video. So I thought I would do revision videos as these have been really highly requested. I know it's coming up to exam season very soon in the next few months, and this is generally the time people start revising for their GCSEs or A-levels or whatever. I'm only in year 10, so I haven't sat my mocks or anything yet. But we've obviously had tests throughout the year, and these are the ways that I've been finding have worked best to revise. And I revise differently for every subject. Obviously, I may use the same revision methods for a variety of subjects, but like I revise in a completely different way that I do for history than I do for math. So I thought I would just show you how I revise for geography, as I tweeted about my geography result the other day on Twitter, and ever since then it went crazy. I had people asking, how did you revise, what are your tips for answering questions, what topics do you do, etc. So I thought I'd just put this all into one video. I'm going to talk you through how I organise my work for a start, because I think that's one of the best things to talk about first. I'm then going to talk about how I revise, what sort of things I make sure to always include, 6 markers, 9 markers, etc. So if you don't do geography, this video will probably still be helpful to you. However, there may be certain things when I talk about a 6 and 9 marker that won't be as relevant to you, but maybe you can still pick up on a couple of tips. And if you would like me to do this for another subject, let me know down below. I'm going to put in the description box all the subjects that I do at school, and then if there is one that you do as well, then you can comment that. Also, if you would like to see more school themed videos, I know it's not typically a beauty videos, but I don't want my channel just to be restricted to beauty. I kind of want to venture out, so if you want me to do like some, what they call study with me's or things like that, then let me know as well down below. I kind of want to just make it into a lifestyle channel as well as a beauty channel, as a lot of my audience are around the same age as me, a little bit older or younger, and yeah, I just want to have a variety of videos ready. What I'm going to talk you through is my book. I just want to apologise for the mirror. Just ignore that. Nothing should be moving. But I just wanted to get the full desk in. So I'm just going to cover up my name and everything. But on the side of my books, I actually have little sticky notes. This is my first book, so I don't actually have this at school anymore, which is why I've done it. However, the book I leave at school, I haven't done this with, just because I'm worried in the box that they're all going to fall off. So the first thing I actually have in the front of my book is just an overview of the GCSE for the 2 years, and I'm doing the exam board of AQA. And if you want to know what your specification is, just ask your teacher, I'm sure they'll tell you, or you can just go on the AQA website and it's got like an overview of the specification. But we do 6 topics, so it's like 4 in year 10 and 2 in year 11. One thing that I would say is really handy is having the textbook. I will get onto that in a little bit in a while, but that's just really handy to have. I'm going to show you my book, but I'm just going to show you that the topics we have done are development, and that was the first topic. So we did a case study on Jamaica and Nigeria. So when you go into your exam, your case studies are really handy, especially in your 6 and 9 mark questions. And then we did a new topic, which is like the urban world. Unfortunately, my sticky note's fallen out for that. And our case studies were Rio and the UK. And then as you can see with the little green stickers, I did have more. I've either got 9 markers or 6 markers or tests marks, so I know when I come to do revision where to look, etc. The thing I recommend you doing with your book is colour coding or highlighting. What I do is I just write my basic stuff in blue or black, depends which pen you prefer. Keywords I then put in red, and then I just highlight these just so they really do stand out. And then what else and green pen is kind of like key examples. I will show you in a second what I mean. So for example, you can see Abington Park, Winchester, Hampshire. That's a place. It's an example from what we were looking at. We're obviously doing ecosystems, so I just put that in green just so I know that's an example. So when I come into an exam or a test or whatever, I've got that example in my head rather than it just being a normal colour and then me just forgetting. When I revise for geography, I take quite a bit of time to do so. always before the test that we are having, we actually have like an upstairs bit in our geography room. So at lunch, me and my friend Nina and Goodness, we go and sit up there and revise, as it's just really handy. It's also really handy to revise with other people. So I actually got my revision for the most recent test we did, and if you didn't know, I got 100% on it, which is why it was requested to do this video. So I thought I would actually just show you my revision, as it's really handy just to see what other people do. So I made some mind maps, and obviously it was on the urban world, and we had looked at Rio and Brazil as our case studies. So really you needed to know a lot about them in order to answer questions, and then you needed to know a little bit about the urban world in general. So I made 2 for Rio, as I didn't realise I could actually have gone back to back. So the first one is all about the north, the south, the centre, the west, etc. I've then talked about the human features, physical features, and then I've got a couple of definitions, and then we really looked at the favelas as we were comparing like the lifestyle. So I wrote all about the favelas down here. I've got my examples of Roxina and Pavo. Really sorry if I pronounced those wrongs. And then I talked about the favela Barrio project, and I talked about the social, economic and environmental effects of that, and those 3 things always come up. You always need to know about the effects. And then again, I continued and I talked about the social challenges. So this was things like energy, water, healthcare, education, the economic challenges, so it's all about jobs, and then the environmental challenges and kind of like the challenges you face in the squatter settlements. What I did is red for the main topic, then I did pink for the title of that topic, so social challenges was in pink. I then had energy, which is in pink, so that's a subtitle. Blue is the issues, so for example with energy, the city suffers frequent blackouts due to an electricity shortage. And then in purple, I wrote down the solutions. So one of the solutions was to install 60 kilometers of new power lines. That's how I kind of did it. So I can remember when I was doing my test, blue was the issues, purple was the solutions, and that was really handy. I found mind maps are one of the best ways to revise. What I did, I actually revised like 2 days before I started my revision for the test. Obviously it wasn't like a massive exam. If it was like a proper exam, I would have revised way before. But yeah, I made the mind maps on one of the night and just started to read through them, and then the other night, which was before the test, I just started testing myself on things and just reading them aloud, because by hearing it helps. And then obviously the lunchtime before, I got people to test. The other thing I do when I come to revise are flashcards. So we've done 2 tests, as we've done 2 topics, and the first topic I actually didn't do mind maps for, and I just did flashcards, and they were great, but you couldn't put masses on there, which is why this time I did mind maps, and obviously it paid off. So what I've actually done is got the 2 sets of flashcards here from both tests. So the first one was from like obviously our first topic. They're actually stapled together, what I much prefer for my latest test. So all I do on here is just keywords, only keywords that aren't related to the case studies. I do actually just have a folder for geography. This is what I keep at home, so I just keep my old book in here, and obviously my revision mind maps will probably go in here. It's just really handy to have a folder. These are from HomeSense. When revising, you obviously need somewhere to just make sure you're getting all your information correct, and you need somewhere to write the information down from. So most of mine is actually my book. I make sure my book is basically my revision tool for when I come to do my exams, and that's why I just try to make my book as full as possible, but with all the information I need. I don't really like to write things down where I don't really need to know them or anything like that, but I always do use the textbook. This is like a lifesaver. Our school actually bought the textbook on a service called Caboodle. It's basically a place where you can have online textbooks. So we have it for English, geography, RE, science and languages. So obviously I've just got the geography book here, and this way I can just have the geography book up on my iPad. So this is just the whole textbook. Obviously we don't use the whole textbook because we only do 6 topics, but it's just really handy to have. So obviously we're just doing ecosystems right now, which is why I have that up, and you can screenshot the pages. The actual book is about £25 to buy, so it is really expensive, so it's quite handy to have it on here. As much as I love having a proper book, it is just really expensive, and I don't know if I can stretch to £25 for it, but I think I may do when it comes to the actual answering different types of questions. You obviously get a 1 marker, which is literally just asking you for probably a definition or just to point something out from a graph. A 2 marker is kind of asking you just to go into a little bit more detail about things. A 4 marker, I think with that you need to give some evidence, so usually that's looking at like a chart or a graph or something. And then 6 markers are where you want to make up your marks, and we have done so many 6 markers. So 6 markers ideally are meant to take 6 minutes. I remember we had to do one at home and time ourselves, and it took me 8 minutes. Luckily I got 6 out of 6 on it. But obviously what you need to include is a point. So for example, the question was, discuss whether inhabitants or the city authorities have benefited the most from attempts to improve the favelas, and this was talking about Rio. So you need to make your point by saying what the authorities did. You then need to give some evidence, so where they did it. So for my evidence, I said they decided to move some people to Barra da Tijuca. I'm not really too sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a place in Rio. And you then need to explain that. So how did they benefit from it? You then have to talk about the other hand, which was the inhabitants. So give a point, give some evidence of how they may have benefited. So I said they may have been part of the Favela Barrio project, and then explained it. And then you just want to give a small conclusion saying, well, I think this person benefited more than this person, really. As for a 9 marker, we've done like 1 or 2 of these. Yeah, I got 8 on the first one we ever did, so that was quite good actually. To do again is give a small introduction. So ours was evaluate how effective tourism is. How effective tourism is as a strategy for development, and then I just used Jamaica as my example. So you give an introduction, so you say what is tourism, which sector is it in, and then what country will you use as your example. You then need to give the advantages, follow the structure, point, evidence, explain. You need to give the disadvantages or weakness, and then a final conclusion. That's kind of a 9 marker. You want to make sure you're including as much evidence as possible. Statistics are everything. Keywords, places. That is what's going to get you your full. What you try and do is link a Google Doc file down below. If it's not there, it's because it didn't work. Where I thought I'd put up some practice 6 marker and 9 marker questions for you. If you're not doing the same topics, I'm really sorry if these don't help. These are for the kind of human geography topics. Yeah, I just thought these would be really handy if you ever want to practice things. I'm not sure if you've done the exact same things as me, but if they do help, just let me know. If it's not there, it's because I couldn't get it to work, but I'm going to try and do that. And yeah, I'm going to put a mark scheme with it as well, just so you kind of know what things you need to include and how to get your marks and things like that. If you have enjoyed this video, if you did, make sure to leave it a massive thumbs up, and if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below too. Like I said, if you have any other questions, leave a comment down below or tweet me. Instagram's a little bit harder because I don't always have time to check my direct messages, so Twitter is probably the best way to do it. Just tweet me. If there are any other subjects you would like me to do these sorts of videos for, please let me know. I will leave a list of the subjects I actually do below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!